Captain Nobody is narrated by Newman, a perfectly ordinary 10-year-old. The story begins with a tense prologue where Newt is falling from a great height. The flashback takes us to the last Friday in October in Appleton, Newt's hometown. The entire town is buzzing with excitement for the big game, a football match between the local high school teams. Newt's older brother, Chris, is a football hero, and everyone idolizes him, leaving Newt feeling insignificant and overlooked by his busy parents. At school, Newt only has two friends, Cecil and JJ. They decide to come up with Halloween costumes that truly reflect their inner selves. Throughout the day, Newt struggles to find the perfect costume while also dealing with the pressure of watching his brother play in the big game. During the game, Chris gets injured and ends up in a coma at the hospital. Newt can't stop replaying the moment of Chris's injury in his mind. On Halloween, Newt still doesn't have a costume, but Cecil and JJ help him transform Chris's jersey into a superhero costume, and they go trick-or-treating together. Taking inspiration from his brother's initials, CN, Newt christens himself Captain Nobody. The next day at school, he wears his Captain Nobody costume, but his classmates mock him, and the school administration worries about his well-being after Chris's accident. That night, Cecil seeks Captain Nobody's help in retrieving a cool old bass drum from the top of a dumpster. What adventures await Captain Nobody and his friends as they embark on this mission? Newt is scared of heights, but as Captain Nobody, he fearlessly climbs and retrieves the bass drum with the help of his friends Cecil and JJ. On their way, they encounter Mr. Clay, an elderly man with Alzheimer's who got lost. Captain Nobody ensures Mr. Clay gets back home safely, and the relieved man credits the superhero for his rescue. Newt and his dad talk about Chris, who is still not well enough for visitors. Meanwhile, Newt's parents find humor and innocence in his Captain Nobody persona, and even his classmates and teachers join in on the fun. Captain Nobody's bravery has a positive influence on everyone, making them stand up for themselves and others. At school, Ricky, Reggie's cousin, confronts Newt, and they argue. However, the rest of Newt's class comes to his defense, inspired by Captain Nobody's courage. Later, JJ calls for Captain Nobody's help to address grammar mistakes on a store sign, only to stumble upon an armed robbery. Newt manages to alert the store owner, who triggers the alarm, causing the robber to flee. Newt and JJ leave the scene before the police arrive. Newt is briefly mentioned on the news as the little guy or midget rather than as Captain Nobody. He later discovers a medical report indicating that Chris may never wake up. Feeling overwhelmed, Newt decides to retire his superhero persona. One day, while acting as Ferocious the Ferret, Chris' team's mascot, Newt faces an attack from Ricky and his friends. In the ensuing chaos, the ferret escapes onto the highway, and as Captain Nobody, Newt stops oncoming traffic. Suddenly, a small plane makes an emergency landing on the same highway. The news reports are divided on whether Captain Nobody is a hero or a villain, leaving Newt unsure of his superhero identity. In a dream, Newt recalls witnessing Chris' accident and realizes that Daryl, one of Chris' teammates, caused the crash. The revelation weighs heavily on him as he reflects on the complexities of being a superhero and the blurred lines between good and bad deeds. The following morning, Newt gets ready to visit Chris, but the news reports a distressing situation. Reggie is on the local water tower, seemingly ready to commit suicide due to the guilt of causing Chris' coma. Newt, being the only one aware of the truth, dons his superhero costume and rushes to the water tower. With the help of CC and JJ, Newt evades the police and reaches the top, where he discovers that Reggie got stuck while attempting to graffiti the tower. Captain Nobody comes to Reggie's rescue, helping him get free from his predicament. As they descend, Newt has a mishap and falls, but luckily lands on a rubber mattress. Unfortunately, Reggie lands on top of him. Newt ends up in the hospital with a broken ankle and ribs. On TV, he watches the news report about his daring act at the water tower. He confides in his parents that Reggie wasn't responsible for Chris' coma. During a visit to Chris at the hospital, Newt witnesses a miracle. Chris finally wakes up. As they both recover, Newt leads a triumphant victory parade as Captain Nobody, celebrating their newfound hope and unity. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.